Hey guys, and welcome back to Dark Horse Paranormal. Today we're going to do a Halloween special. 13 horrifying Halloween homicides. Crime is not a seasonal affair. It doesn't matter whether it's Valentine's Day, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve Day, or Easter. There'll always be people out there breaking the law, whether it's speeding, assault, burglary, or murder. When it comes to the more serious and bloody end of the criminal spectrum, the end that features such ferocious attacks as taking a person's life, there is one square on the calendar that stands out above all others: Halloween. Does October the 31st, a day so interestingly associated with horror, really offer up more murder than any other date in the diary? It's hard to say, but what's undeniable is that All Hallows Eve certainly brought out the very worst in these folks. So here's 13 of the most horrendous Halloween homicides. As Halloween comes by, you can forgive a 5-year-old becoming enraged after losing a bag of trick-or-treating sweeties and throwing a big tantrum. But how about a 55-year-old? Lido Peoples lost his cool on Halloween night in 2011 in a domestic disturbance in Chicago's South Side that turned very ugly indeed. Not able to track down his bag of Hershey's Jolly Ranchers and Tootsie Rolls, he accused his partner, 49-year-old Maria Adams, of stealing them from him. As a way of response to the accusation, she threw a plate at his head. Peoples picked up a knife and repeatedly stabbed her. She died in hospital, and the killer got 30 years, just over some sweets. Just imagine being murdered for some sweets. It's cruel. What was the guy thinking? Who knows? A Halloween tradition leads to a bullet in the head. Chucking eggs at houses and classic cars is a classic, if rather juvenile and annoying Halloween prank. But after a long day of work and an even of trick or treating with his girlfriend and her younger son, 21-year-old Carl Jackson was in no mood for his car to get egged on Halloween night 1998. Unfortunately for all concerned, it was South Bronx, as a tough neighbourhood, so when Carl got out of his car to reinstate the kid, who went sunny side up on his vehicle, he took a risk. Sadly, the risk didn't pay off. 17-year-old Curtis Sterling shot Carl on the head, killing him instantly. Sterling was arrested, charged and imprisoned for murder. Every Halloween, Carl Jackson's mother sends the son's killer a card telling him she's glad he's rotting in prison. Amarillo, Texas, on October the 31st, 1981. 76-year-old nun, Sister Teresa Benz, was raped and strangled in a convent. On November the 9th, Johnny Frank Garrett, who lived across the street from her, was arrested for the abominable crime. On February the 11th, 1992, he was executed through lethal injection by the state of Texas. Garrett's final meal was ice cream. His final words were, "I'd like to thank my family for loving me and taking care of me, and the rest of the world can kiss my ass." Since his execution, there have been various doubts raised surrounding his guilt. Increasingly, many people believe that Johnny was innocent. Not that it helps Johnny now, of course. Halloween House of Horrors. The scene Ohio teenager Devon Griffin walked into was like something out of a haunted house. He later said, returning home from church on Sunday, October the 31st, 2010. Devon found his brother Derek, mother Susan, and Susan's new husband William, lifelike, all dead, savagely murdered. There was only one suspect, William Litlick Jr., suffering with schizophrenia and a documented history of violence and widely unpredictable behaviour. The 24-year-old was quickly found at a local halfway house and arrested. He confessed, admitting to all 3 murders. It transpired he had shot his father 5 times, belunged his old stepbrother Derek to death with a hammer, and then raped and shot his stepmother Susan. He took his own life in prison in 2015. The final vile murder of the Toolbox Killers. Shirley Ledford was the fifth and thankfully final victim of the LA serial killers, Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris. The 2 men are some of the cruelest serial killing duos ever to disgrace the planet, known as the Toolbox Killers because of the vile and prevented penchant for the tool-based torture. The sick pair would often tape records of the crimes. On Halloween night 1979, Bittaker and Norris snatched 16-year-old Shirley from a gas station where she was hitchhiking home after a Halloween party. They beat her, raped her, tortured her externally and internally with pliers, and eventually strangled her with wire coat hanger. Finally, as a final insult, they dumped her lifeless body on a random front lawn. Both men were caught a month after killing Shirley so viciously they are still imprisoned for maximum security institutions to this day. Both remain unrepentant. If you're into horrors and your horror movies, you might remember this next story: the man who killed Halloween. Heard of the old wives' tale of the poisoned sweets at Halloween, supposedly given out by a crazy neighbour? The candy will kill any kid that eats it. Lucky it's not a real thing, although it was once in Texas, 1974. Ronald Clark O'Brien laced 5 party sticks with potassium cyanide and planned on killing 5 local kids, among them his son, Y. Well, the plan was to blame the poisonings on a neighbour, see him imprisoned, and O'Brien could collect the insurance policy he had taken out on his young son. 11-year-old Timothy ate the cyanide filled with sour candy on his dad's suggestion. He had enough poison in it to kill 2 people. Within an hour he was hospitalised and declared dead. Lucky for the other 4 children, fast-thinking and acting local detectives figured out what happened due to the smell on the young Timothy's breath and confiscated the other party sticks before they could be consumed. On the 31st of March 1984, Ronald Clark O'Brien, dubbed the man who killed Halloween, was put to death by the state of Huntsville, Texas, as the liquid chemicals entered his vein. A baying mob of 300 locals shouted, "Trick or treat," and threw hard candy at a small group of anti-death penalty protesters. Like all the other poor murder victims here, Chris Jenkins died at Halloween. Unlike all the poor murder victims here, Chris Jenkins could be very well tied into a widespread crime phenomenon, only known as the smiley face murder theory. University of Minnesota student Jenkins disappeared on Halloween 2002, turning up in the Mississippi River, still wearing his Halloween costume, some 4 months later. His death is believed by police to have been the result of accident or suicide, but the similarities between Jenkins' death and those of many young men found in the water across North America may have led many others to wonder if there's not a Halloween costume, the perfect disguise. Los Angeles hairdresser Peter Fabinho opened his front door to trick-or-treaters on Halloween evening, 1957. Before he could reach for a few gobstoppers to throw into the brown paper bag that one was holding, bullets blasted out of the bag and into his chest. He had been shot to death with a .22 caliber pistol. The pair were Goldian Pizza and Joan Robble, both pleaded guilty to murder and served lengthy prison times. The two women were lovers. Joan was also seeing Fabiano's wife Betty. Through jealous and enraged, she plotted to get Peter out of the picture. With Pfizer's help, the date was picked, and it was seen as the perfect night to skulk the neighborhood in disguise. And it was. Not that it helped them get away with it, of course. Everyone has a neighbor from hell. Halloween night, 1973, the city of Fond du Lac. 9-year-old Lisa French dressed up as the littlest hobo. Went trick-or-treating. She only got next door. Neighbor Gerard Turner opened up, took little Lisa into his home, shut the door behind her. Turner then raped and killed her, stuffing her tiny body in a plastic bag and dumping it in a nearby field. As of 2018, the Halloween killer has been eligible for parole, but the state continues to refuse his release. Their rather understandable argument is that he is a sexually violent person and should not be released back into society. When 12-year-old trick-or-treater T.J. Darishaw knocked on Quentin Patrick's door in the city of Sumter, South Carolina, on Halloween night 2008, he expected candy. What he got was 29 bullets through his front door from a fully automatic AK-47-11, of which hit him, killing him instantly. The poor kid's dad and younger brother were also hit, but pulled through and survived. It turns out that Quentin Patrick was a convicted drug dealer that had upset a rival gang of dealers and was fully expecting retribution. What he got was blood on his hands and 30 years inside. David Berwatwitz, responsible for the New York City 1977 Summer of Sam region of terror, is a man who knows murder. He certainly knew about the murders of Ronald Sisman and Elizabeth Platzman in advance. How? Well, Berwatwitz didn't plan and kill the Manhattan couple. He was in jail when he predicted their Halloween 1981 deaths. So how did he know that they were going to be shot in the head, execution style? Well, he had long since claimed that he was only partly responsible for the killings attributed to them. Berwatwitz says that he was part of a satanic cult, and that Sisman had a video of one of the Son of Sam shootings that was going to make its way to the authorities. So the cult kill them to protect themselves. Is there any truth to the rumour? Well, one of the greatest books of crime non-fiction ever, Maury Terry's The Ultimate Evil, argues it in great detail that there is. The full truth will almost certainly never emerge. Scream if you want to die. Faster! Killers in masks. It's mostly just a movie thing, so it makes sense that one of them, few times in real life murder, is committed by a masked man. That mask is from a film in the unlawful killing of 19-year-old Brooklyn man Anthony Seabury in 2013. The killer was sporting a ghost face mask, as seen in the popular horror Scream and its sequels. The case still remains unsolved, although it's thought by some that the shooting was tied in with other shootings across New York City that night, for which a man was later shot and killed by police officers. A truly unwelcome house guest. Adrienne Inasonia, Leslie Maraza and Lauren Minza spent most of Halloween night in 2004 handing out treats on door-knocking kids at their home in Napa, California. At approximately 11 p.m. the three women retired to bed. There'll be one more person knocking on their door that night. Menza, after hearing a blood-curdling scream, ran out the house and drove away. Manza and Senior were left in the house, both of them being savagely stabbed to death by Eric Matthew Koppel, a friend of one of the women. Koppel turned himself into the police and confessed, but explained his motive for the double slaying. He is now serving a full life sentence without the possibility of parole. So there we have it, folks. There's our 13 horrifying Halloween homicides for our special episode. We hope everyone has a good Halloween and keep safe no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. Until next time, sleep tight.